Your phone takes random screenshots, sends them to the government, so they know exactly what you're watching. Get the wrong haircut. Prison. Wear blue jeans. Prison. Your grandfather commits a crime. You spend your entire life in jail, even though you did nothing wrong. This is how 25 million people live right now, in 2026, in North Korea. And this is the story of the only man born inside one of their prison camps who made it out alive. His name is Shin Dong-hyuk, and in 2005, he stood at an electric fence, the fence that separated hell from the unknown. Guards patrolled behind him. High-voltage electricity ran through the wires in front of him. He had seconds to decide, die here, in the only world he'd ever known, or risk everything for a world he didn't even believe existed. He ran. His friend ran beside him. They reached the fence together. His friend touched the wires first. The electricity killed him instantly. His body fell against the fence, and for just a moment the current stopped flowing through that section. Shin climbed over his friend's burning body. His own skin caught fire, but he made it through. He was free. But to understand why he made this choice, you need to know where he came from and what he survived. (1981). A pregnant woman sits in a North Korean prison camp, Camp 14, a political prison. She's not a criminal. Her crime? Being related to someone the government didn't like. She gives birth inside the camp. A boy. She names him Shin Dong-hyuk. And this boy grows up behind barbed wire. He never sees the outside world, because in North Korea, they believe in something called guilt by association. If someone in your family commits a political crime, the punishment doesn't stop with them. It spreads, like a disease, to your parents, your children, your grandchildren. 3 generations. That's the rule. Shin's uncle had fled to South Korea years before Shin was even born. That was the crime, and Shin's entire family paid the price. So Shin grew up in hell, and he thought it was normal. His childhood? Corn porridge. Sometimes, when there was enough. Most days he ate grass, rats, anything he could find, just to survive. He watched people get beaten, starved, executed, and he thought this was life. This was how the world worked. He didn't know any different. When Shin was 13 years old, he overheard something. His mother and his older brother, whispering, planning. They wanted to escape. Shin didn't understand much. He was young, hungry, always hungry. So he did what he thought was right. He told the guards. He thought maybe they'd give him extra food, a reward. 7 months later, the guards gathered all the prisoners in the middle of the camp. Shin was forced to stand at the front, and then, right in front of his eyes, they hanged his mother, shot his brother. Shin was 13 years old, watching his family die because of what he said. The guards didn't give him food. They gave him 6 months of torture instead, beating him, burning him, breaking him. This was Shin's life. For 23 years, prison was his normal. Starvation was his normal. He had no idea that outside those fences, millions of people lived differently, but still lived in fear. For 10 more years after that day, Shin survived in Camp 14, doing forced labor, watching people die, eating whatever he could find, never questioning it. Because how do you question the only reality you've ever known? But Shin had no idea that outside these fences, an entire country lived under rules just as strange, where people weren't in prison camps, but still couldn't choose their own haircut, couldn't watch the movies they wanted, couldn't trust their own family. 25 million people, living under a dictatorship so complete, so total, that it controlled every single aspect of their lives. And that's where this story really begins. Look at North Korea from space. At night, you'll see something strange. China glows with light. South Korea glows with light. But right in the middle, there's darkness. Pure darkness. That's North Korea. 25 million people living in the dark. Literally. Most homes have no electricity at night. People can't watch TV, can't read. They go to sleep at 7 in the evening because darkness is all they know. But it wasn't always like this. In 1980, North Korea was actually ahead of South Korea. Their economy was growing. People had free healthcare, free education, free housing. Everyone got food from the government. In 1980, North Korea's income per person was higher than India's, higher than China's. They were doing well. So what happened? 1991. the Soviet Union collapsed, and North Korea's lifeline was cut. The Soviets had been giving them cheap oil, cheap food. Suddenly, that stopped. Power stations shut down, factories closed, the lights went out, and people started starving. The government had a choice. They could ask for help. The United States offered to help, but only if North Korea gave up its nuclear weapons program. North Korea refused. Pride over people. In 1995, heavy floods hit the country. Crops were destroyed, and North Korea had no money, no credit, no way to buy food. Between 1995 and 1998, somewhere between 500,000 and 2 million people starved to death. The exact number? The government never revealed it. People were so desperate, they hunted frogs, ate them to survive. The frog population nearly went extinct. Families made impossible choices. They let their elderly relatives starve to death, so the younger ones could eat, so the children could survive. Grandparents chose to die, so their grandchildren could live. This was one of the biggest man-made catastrophes in modern history, and the government's response? Hide it. The capital city is Pyongyang. The government wanted it to look perfect, like nothing was wrong, so they removed all the starving people from the city, all the homeless, all the dying. They sent them away, out of sight. The ruling party members in Pyongyang got food, got electricity, got everything they needed. But outside the city, people were dying in the streets, eating tree bark, eating grass, trying anything to survive. And the government kept lying, kept pretending, kept telling people that their great leader would save them, that the rest of the world was worse, that North Koreans were the lucky ones. The famine ended, eventually, but the control didn't. The dictatorship got stronger, tighter, more paranoid, because the government learned something. Fear works. Isolation works. If people don't know what freedom looks like, they won't fight for it. And so, they built a system to control everything, every aspect, every choice, every thought. They divided the entire country into classes, based on loyalty. The loyalists got food, got homes in Pyongyang, got privileges. The suspects got watched, got less food, got worse jobs. The enemies, they got sent to camps, like the one where Shin was born. But the control didn't stop there. The government decided they needed to control more. How people dressed, how they styled their hair, what they watched, where they traveled, who they talked to, what they said, even what they thought. Because a dictatorship that controls your body is powerful, but a dictatorship that controls your mind, that's unstoppable. Or so they thought. Because what the North Korean government didn't realize was this. When you push people too far, when you take away everything, when you leave them with nothing to lose, something interesting happens. They start to resist. Quietly, carefully, but they resist. And that resistance, it started in the one place the government couldn't fully control, the black markets, run by women, selling food, selling information, selling hope. But we'll get to that later. First, you need to understand just how strange these rules are, just how controlled these lives are, because what comes next, you won't believe it's real. The secret police, they're everywhere and nowhere. You don't know who they are, you don't know their names, you don't even know who leads them. In 2002, North Korea's telephone book was leaked. It didn't have a single phone number for the secret police, because the book was only classified as secret, not top secret. That's how hidden they are. These agents make people disappear, torture them in prison camps, execute them in public, and the scariest part, anyone could be working for them. Your neighbor, your co-worker, your friend, your family. The secret police divide neighborhoods into groups. Every 30 to 40 houses form an association, and every association has spies, people forced to watch their neighbors, report suspicious behavior, report suspicious conversations, report everything. They call these neighborhood watch associations, but it's just a spy network, and people from the hostile class, the lowest songbun, are forced to spy on each other. If they don't, they're punished. So everyone watches everyone. Trust doesn't exist. A mother can't talk freely to her son. A brother can't confide in his sister, because any one of them could be reporting to the secret police. One wrong word, one wrong joke, one complaint about the government, and you're gone. This is how they maintain control. Through fear, through surveillance, through making people afraid of each other. But there's another layer to this, the propaganda. From the moment a North Korean child is born, they're fed lies. In school, they learned that Kim Il-sung, the first leader, was basically a god. That Kim Jong-il, the second leader, learned to drive at age 3, could control the weather with his mood. These aren't just stories. This is the curriculum. Children are taught that their leader is perfect, that North Korea is the greatest country on earth, that everywhere else people are suffering, dying, starving. They're told that Americans are monsters, that South Koreans are poor and desperate, that the whole world envies North Korea. And when you hear the same lie every single day, for your entire life, from everyone around you, you start to believe it. This is how Shin Dong-hyuk thought prison was normal, because he had nothing to compare it to. The propaganda told him this was life. The adults around him believed it. So he believed it too. In North Korea, propaganda is everywhere. On TV, on the radio, in newspapers, in schools, on posters in the street. Statues of the leaders are in every town, every city, every public space. Their portraits are in every home, every office, every school. You can't escape them. It's like they're always watching. Big Brother from George Orwell's 1984. Except this is real. This system worked for decades. Fear plus lies plus isolation. It kept 25 million people under control. But in 2005, something changed. Shin Dong-hyuk met someone new in Camp 14, a prisoner who had lived outside, a man who told Shin about a world he never knew existed, a world with food, with freedom, with choices. And for the first time in his life, Shin realized something. This isn't normal. Prison isn't the world. There's something else out there. And that realization changed everything. The prisoner's name was Park. He'd lived outside the camp. He told Shin about grilled chicken, about cities with lights, about people who chose their own lives. Shin didn't believe him at first. It sounded like fantasy. But Park kept talking, describing flavors, freedom, a world beyond the fences. And slowly, Shin started to believe. They made a plan. They would escape together. One night in 2005, they were sent near the fence to collect firewood. This was their chance. They ran. Park reached the fence first. He grabbed the wires. The electricity hit him, killed him instantly. But his body stopped the current, just for a moment. Shin didn't hesitate. He climbed over Park's body. His skin burned. His legs caught fire. But he made it through. He ran through frozen mountains, starving, injured. Somehow he made it to China, then to South Korea. And for the first time, Shin saw the real world. He became a human rights advocate, spoke at the United Nations, told his story to the world. A book was written about it, Escape from Camp 14. His voice reached millions. But Shin's story did something else, something the North Korean government never expected. It inspired others, and it revealed cracks in the system. Because while Shin was surviving in that camp, something was happening outside, a quiet revolution, led by women. After the famine in the 1990s, the government couldn't feed people anymore. So women started trading. Small markets appeared, black markets, called jangmadang. Women sold food, clothes, medicine, whatever they could find. The government tried to shut them down, but the markets kept growing. Now, women earn more than 70% of household income in North Korea through these illegal markets. And these markets became something else, information hubs. People started smuggling USB drives, South Korean dramas, movies, music, news from the outside world. At first, people used DVD players, but the government would cut electricity randomly, burst into homes, check what was in the DVD player, so people switched to USB drives. Easier to hide, easier to share. Today, 81% of North Koreans who escaped the country had access to USB drives, and 98% of those who had USBs were carrying illegal media, foreign films, foreign news. The truth. One defector, Ju Yang, said South Korean dramas changed everything for her. She saw a world she couldn't imagine. Freedom, choices, happiness. The propaganda started cracking. People started questioning. And here's the key. When people watch these illegal films together, they build trust. If your friend is breaking the law with you, you know you can trust them. The government's system of suspicion, it's breaking down. Unity is growing through shared resistance, through small acts of defiance. The dictatorship is weakening. Slowly, but it's happening. But let's be honest, this isn't over. Right now, 80,000 to 120,000 people are still locked in political prison camps, starving, tortured, working 16 hours a day in mines and fields. 40% of them will die of hunger. They eat grass, rats, anything to survive. Public executions still happen. The secret police still make people disappear. China still sends defectors back to North Korea, where they're tortured, killed. The suffering continues. Change is slow, painfully slow, but the cracks are there. The USB drives keep spreading. The black markets keep growing. Information keeps leaking in. Every person who learns the truth is a seed. Every act of resistance matters. Shin risked everything to tell his story, so the world would know. And now millions know. The truth is spreading, slowly, but it's spreading. Shin stood at that electric fence. He could stay in hell or risk death for freedom. He chose the unknown. His friend died so he could live, and now his voice reaches millions. Here's what we need to remember. Never take freedom for granted. The freedom to choose your clothes, your hairstyle, the movies you watch. These aren't small things, they're everything. Never turn against your fellow citizens for any politician. Unity is power. The moment people unite, dictatorships fall. That's why they try so hard to divide us, make us suspicious, make us spy on each other, and never ever hand over control of your personal life to any government. What you wear, what you watch, how you style your hair, these are your choices, not theirs. Every dictatorship plants the seeds of its own destruction. It just takes time. Right now, 25 million people live in darkness. They can't watch YouTube, can't choose their haircut, can't trust their family. Shin made it through that fence. His friend died so he could live, and Shin's story made it to you. This is Story Ground. If this opened your eyes, hit subscribe. Share this video. Let Shin's story reach further, because some truths can't stay hidden forever. Shin crossed that fence. His story crossed borders. Don't let it stop here. For a different but equally interesting topic, check out this video next.